Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, a business strategy podcast where we provide insight to those looking for creative, executable strategies built around the latest disruptive ideas, innovative cultures, product creators, and marketing solutions. Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles. Today, in celebration of one of the greatest visionaries of all time, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., on his birthday, felt it was very appropriate to talk about visionaries. I'm actually in the process of writing my next book, The Visionary Leader, and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. obviously is one of my subjects. So I felt it'd be appropriate with his birthday and celebration this week that we talk about the visionary Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. There are so many things with Martin Luther King that most people have heard in general, but not anything specific. So I'd really like to talk about kind of as much as I can in the short period of time I have, just what he accomplished and some of the important principles and foundational values Dr. Martin Luther King had. And the first I like to do is always quote these visionary leaders on some of their greatest quotes. And I felt this one was very appropriate. He said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." That is a really incredibly powerful quote. Is that everybody in life has disappointments. It's a matter of is how this disappointment affects you. Either for the positive, a learning experience, or something that allows you to move on to something even bigger. And Dr. Martin Luther King, he was a clergyman, an activist, and a visionary leader who played a critical role in the American civil rights movement. And his commitment to not only justice, but equality and nonviolent activism is unparalleled in our day. He was truly a visionary leader who used this powerful vision he had to inspire and lead the civil rights movement in the United States. But I will have to say, in reading on Dr. Martin Luther King, it spread globally. There's a lot of injustice in the world globally, and he took the lead. And he was one that had the vision. His vision was rooted in justice, equality, and nonviolent protest. And another quote from Dr. Martin Luther King I thought was beautiful when you talk about this nonviolent protest, because many times, regardless of the cause, you get these violent protests. And he was never a believer in that. He felt that truly there is a cause that you believe in, but you should be able to have a nonviolent protest and be successful. And his quote was, "Love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend." What a beautiful quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. I look at this and I say, this one thing that God has always told us, and that God in the Bible has said that love is the most important thing. And love those who are your enemies and they are destroyed. It was very similar to what Abraham Lincoln said. Is that if I make enemies of or friends of my enemies, they no longer become my enemies. So similar to what Dr. Martin Luther King indicated, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. Think about that one. And Martin Luther King had a true vision. And unlike most of us, on this day that we talk about not only his life but his death, he was willing to risk his life to ensure it was realized, his vision. So when I look at this with Martin Luther King, I looked at some of these core principles of Martin Luther King's vision. Certainly not all of them. It would take me many hours to go through all of them, but I just thought I would pull out some that really I felt were impactful to this day. And the first, obviously, is the "I Have a Dream" speech. And the famous "I Have a Dream" speech was delivered on March on Washington in 1963. And to this day, it's one of the most famous speeches ever given. He articulated a compelling vision of racial integration and a harmonious America. What I love about Dr. Martin Luther King and what many people forget is that he wanted a harmonious America, not only racial integration and justice, but he wanted a harmonious America for everybody. Everybody just get along. And that's why he emphasized the word love so much. You know, his vision emphasized the dream of equality, justice, and brotherhood resonating with millions of people. It became a defining moment in the civil rights movement. He wanted justice for America, for everybody. And his second principle was nonviolent protest was really a guiding principle of his. You know, this vision was grounded in the philosophy of nonviolent resistance. And he envisioned a movement that would challenge injustice through peaceful protests, civil disobedience and love, rather than resorting to violence or hatred. And when you look at this nonviolent protest, it was really a foundation. Not a lot of many people think of this. Well, we protested. Well, look at the protests, these civil injustice that he was a pioneer of. Dr. Martin Luther King never promoted violence. So when you look at this guiding principle of his, let's not lose sight of that. I don't care what the cause is. It's fine to have civil and this injustice, but having peaceful protests is the key to his vision. And he always had a belief in community, what he called the beloved community. This vision extended beyond eliminating segregation, which he was against. You know, he spoke of this beloved community that he would always have hoped to have happen one day. It was a society based on love, justice, and equality. That's for everybody. There was certainly and continues to be racial injustice, but certainly when you look at love, justice, and equality, everybody wants that. This vision has sought racial harmony, economic justice, and the end of poverty. Think about Dr. Martin Luther King's vision. What I really want everybody to see is his vision. Talking about poverty, economic injustice, racial harmony. That touches all of us. And it's really a powerful vision that he had. And inspiring the masses. He wanted to go beyond just his close-knit community. It wasn't limited to a select few. It aimed to inspire the masses. Everybody needs to understand the injustices that were happening. So he articulated this clearly, aspirationally, and inspirationally, a vision where he motivated people from all walks of life to join this civil rights movement and work towards a common goal peacefully. So he would looking to inspire the masses to see injustice in the world. And I want to say in the United States, he affected other countries. And so his vision spread globally. And he's also, his other principle was appealing to core values, kind of that we all have. You know, in a vision framed in terms of core American values, appealing to the principles of freedom, justice, and democracy that we all treasure in the Constitution. That was one thing that he would always put in his speeches is, hey, this is just part of our American values. As Americans, are we not proud of this or not proud of this? So when you look at this, he had core American values at heart. And I go back to him putting his life on the line for these principles and values. He had a long-term vision. You know, many times when you see protests, people are in and out very quickly. As soon as it gets resolved or a piece of the puzzle gets put in place, they're gone. Not Dr. Martin Luther King. He had a long-term vision that extended beyond immediate victories. Think about that. You know, he could have walked away after getting a couple of victories here and there, but he was committed long-term. He had a vision of what he wanted to achieve. He understood that achieving civil rights required a sustained effort. You know, I use the word sustained quite a bit. Man, when you look at whether it be sustained products, sustained values, everything has to be sustainable to be successful. There's no such thing as a one-hit wonder or things go away after one step forward. You're climbing a mountain. It's step after step. You may stumble here and there, but you know where the peak is. And he had a long-term vision to achieve that. So he had a sustained effort and a commitment to transforming the underlying makeup of society. And that include racial injustice, poverty, and a very broad spectrum of beliefs that he had. And also, his other principle was legislative goals. Interestingly enough, he had vision that included specific legislation goals. We know how challenging that can be. Think of what Dr. Martin Luther King achieved. Not only out in the streets, bringing together the masses in a common cause in the civil rights movement, but also then legislative goals that would put this on the books. He actively lobbied for the passage of Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Acts of 1965, seeing these laws, what he felt, as critical steps toward realizing his broader vision of equality. So he really had, not only on the streets, gathering the masses, but he knew it needed to be put in law as well. And a beautiful thing with Dr. Martin Luther King was this legacy he had, legacy of inspiration, I call it. And a vision that left a lasting legacy that inspires movements for justice and equality peacefully. And I keep saying that with peacefully, as this was really Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy, was a peaceful movement that would step by step get collaboration from people that needed to understand what his vision was. His speeches and writings continue to be studied and quoted, resonating with those who strive for a more impartial world. What I love about it is we have his word in print and people can read it. What was his vision? How do I achieve this? How did he achieve so much in a short period of time? So when we look at this again, the principles of, not all, but certainly I feel are important ones, were the I Have a Dream speech, nonviolent protest as a guiding principle of his. He believed in a beloved community, love one another, regardless of race, inspire the masses, bring together everybody in a common principle and goal, and core American values of what's right and what's wrong, and a long-term vision, committed to this vision. And that's one of the big ones, is this long-term vision. I'm just such a believer in vision, that vision can't be a day or two, or week, a month, year, 2 years, 5 years. It has to be kind of a lifetime goal until you achieve what your vision is. And legislative goals and a legacy that inspired masses of people. So Martin Luther King's visionary leadership played a pivotal role in shaping the path of the civil rights movement. But he did so much more. And that's why I wanted to point out these other principles and foundational values of Dr. Martin Luther King. He's a charismatic and powerful speaker. His ability to communicate complex ideas. Think about what he's talking about and looking to achieve, and how eloquent and beautiful he was in giving those speeches. These complex ideas in a way that resonated with a broad audience. It really helped to mobilize the civil rights movement. So when Dr. King's speeches and writings are celebrated as being so powerful, impactful to people to this day, he had a long-term vision for transformation beyond the immediate goals of civil rights movement. That's one thing I wanted to talk about here as well, is certainly that's a foundation of what he was looking to achieve, and rightly so. But he had so many other things he was looking to achieve: equal rights and justice in society, and also poverty. He had looked at addressing what are called systematic issues like poverty, demonstrating a forward-looking perspective of the way things should be, not the way they are. It's very much like Abraham Lincoln when he was looking to remove slavery. His ability to articulate a powerful vision grounded in moral principles and a commitment to nonviolent action, mobilizing people to work towards a just society. This is moving the masses. The vision contributed, this vision he had contributed to legal and societal changes that have impacted our broader human rights and dignity struggles on a global scale. King demonstrated an unwavering courage, Dr. King, in the face of adversity. He faced numerous threats, and one eventually cost him his life. But he remained committed to his principles and the pursuit of civil rights, and his courage inspired others to join the struggle. So I would say, in summary, when I look at Dr. Martin Luther King and his vision that he had and how it's impacted lives today, it's really refreshing to see that people still believe in his foundation and values, but understand what he was looking to achieve beyond civil rights movement. It was really inspiring the masses in poverty and equality. And his inspiring vision, moral and ethical values, courageous conviction, empathy, strategic leadership with the masses, inclusivity, commitment to nonviolent resistance, charismatic communication, long-term vision, and a lasting legacy that we talk about today of inspiration for social change. So again, Dr. King, my intent here was that, again, I'm writing a book on visionary leaders, and I felt it was appropriate to give you a little bit of insight. And you probably know a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King, but I just kind of wanted to talk about some more broader core principles that he had beyond the civil rights movement, which is obviously his most important. So again, thank God we have this word that's been written by Dr. Martin Luther King we can look back on. And again, he had a lasting legacy that we all can remember for the better. So again, stay true, stay authentic, be different, and be great, and enjoy the journey along the way. You can reach out to me if you have any questions, anything you may want to discuss on the Visionary Chronicles. Proud to say the Visionary Chronicles is voted the #1 visionary and top 50 marketing podcast in 2022 and 2023 by FeedSpot. And also the Visionary brand book. Again, I'm going to be releasing the Visionary Leader next year, but the Visionary brand, fortunately, the feedback that I've been getting from people that have purchased the book is probably my most aspirational goal in writing the book. So thank you to those who have purchased the book, making it an Amazon bestseller and also a Reader's Favorite Award winner for Best Nonfiction Marketing Genre Book. And with the release of the book, I wanted to mention a year in the making, actually, by the way, is the Visionary Brand Master Course. So we have over 2 hours of visionary leadership training. We have chapter-by-chapter videos. And this is available on the visionaryfiles.com. We have now over 1,800 visionary entrepreneurs and executives and leaders in their field that have taken the course. So we would appreciate it if you would also give us some feedback on the master course. We feel it's been a success, and we look forward to getting others into the master course and having them go through step by step. Also, if you have any questions or just want to meet, just want to talk, need some support on your company brand personally, you can reach out to me at the liquidmindsite.com, and we'll schedule an appointment to talk. It's liquidmindsite.com. You can also reach out to me at Brian, Bryan, at liquidmindsite.com, liquidmindsite.com. And as always, thank you for listening to the Visionary Chronicles. We appreciate your time and look forward to the next Visionary Chronicles podcast, and have a great day.